Okay, dear viewers, now in front of us, it's the Everest at an altitude of 6,500 meters. It's one of our 5G base station. Just give you a forecast about our coming program. We have the workers for construction of the 5G network at an altitude of 6,500. I could already see their faces through our lens. Later, I will invite you to join me. While enjoying this slow motion, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to leave it with our platform. Now we're about to get our friends connected now. Please turn on your microphone. Friends at the 5G base station, hello.
Hello, 你好。你好。
Hey. Hello,
This is Zhao Huajun,
and
this is Danzeng Quzhu and Danzeng Sangjie.
Good afternoon.
Just now you called me brother and I felt so heartened by it. So let's keep it this name, brother, dear brother. Just now I noticed that your nose is so red, all the three of you. It's because of the cold weather, right? Yes. Now, how do you feel at this 5G base station? What's the speed of the wind and what's the weather? Here we have a gale, very strong wind, very low temperature. In daytime, it's around -10 degrees Celsius, and it's even colder in the nighttime, -20 degrees. What about Huajun? Could you please show us around outside your camp? No problem. I'd like to show you around and give you some introduction. This is at the altitude of 6,500 meters. Over there is the Everest. Because over there it may be snowing, so it has blocked us from seeing directly the peak. It's been snowing in these days, right? It started to snow from 12 o'clock at noon, and the weather is changing all the time during the day. How many times could it change during the day? The maximum changes 3 to 4 times during the day. At noon, it can snow, and then you can have a sunny day during the afternoon. And in the past, I asked a question to Huajun, could we guarantee the signal when we go in and out of the tent? And he said there's no problem. How about our speed of internet? Are you satisfied, our viewers? So you can see that it's brilliant, our 5G network. This is our national flag. And the other, the white one, is from our mountaineering team. So there are so many tents here. There must be more workers settling around. Yes, we have many other people, for example, from the climbing school and from other working units. And those yaks, they are helping us to carry all the equipment for the construction of the base station. How many yaks do you have? It depends. If we have a lot of to carry for the day, then there will be more yaks.
They are really helpful. So they will not move around at this high altitude. Actually, they are taking a break because after a hard journey, they would like to take a rest. They don't have too much to eat, so they have to stay still in order to save more energy. They have no feed at this environment. So normally, at which altitude do they live? The yaks usually stay with the base camp at around an altitude of 5,200 meters. And now they are coming up to 6,500 meters. During this trip, they first have to stay overnight at the altitude of 5,800 meters and then continue the journey until our advanced camp. So our netizens, they are appreciating the hard work of the yaks too. So since when you have this coverage of 5G signal at this altitude? It's after the 20th of April. Due to this high altitude, I could not recall the exact date. What was your feeling at the moment of the successful connection of the signal? I was so happy and excited. Because it's never an easy job for us to stay in this environment and fixing all the equipment and infrastructure and so on. Are you feeling very cold outside the tent? What about getting back to the tent? Please take care. So just now, it's already a big treat for us to have a glance at the panorama outside the tent. This is how we get the water. It's the melted water from the ice blocks. All those are the blocks of ice collected. Let me show you. All those are blocks of ice. Very big blocks. And here we are boiling the blocks of ice. How do you make a fire here? Do you have the charcoal? We have the liquefied natural gas. This is my colleague, Sanjay. Sanjay is so shy. Yes, he's a shy guy. Hello, Sanjay. So at this high altitude of 6,500 meters, what will you do? So I'm doing the maintenance work of the base station. And apart from work, what do you do? I will chat with my colleagues. And what's your favorite topic? The weather. And talking about the maintenance of the base station, what do you do exactly? For the maintenance work, we will check the generator of power, whether they are working, and also to add up the oil for the diesel generator. How many days will you spend usually at this advanced camp of an altitude of 6,500 meters? It's been 5 to 6 days already. And when can you leave? We haven't fixed the date. Maybe more than a dozen of days to come. Will you still feel headache due to the lack of oxygen? In the beginning, yes. But now we've already passed that adaptation period. So it's okay. And is it okay for you to do some big movement? For the moment, yes. But the first days when we just arrive at this altitude, it's not so easy. And now, as long as I could hear from you talking, I think you don't have too much problem in breathing and in talking. And our friends on the internet said you're very handsome. And could you please show us around inside your tent? What do you have? Something to eat? Do you have some food inside the tent? Yes, of course. I'd like to give you an introduction in our tent. For example, we have the tea leaves, provided by one of our colleagues, and also the sugar, coffee. So we have a quite decent life here. What do you eat? We eat rice. And most importantly, we have the traditional Tibetan style of drink. This is our doctor. Hey, guy. And we also have the boiled water. We usually take boiled water. And someone's asking a question. Can you boil the water? Yes, do you need a special equipment? Like a pressure cooker? Yes, we did indeed need a pressure cooker because here we are at such a high altitude. And I noticed that outside the tent, people are walking around. They are the workers or they are the students from the climbing tent. I'd like to introduce everyone to you. This is our brother, a specialist in tea. This is one of our colleagues taking care of the logistics. Hello. Thank you for your hard work. And over there, they are the owners of the yaks. Are they about to bring those yaks to continue the journey? Yes. And I noticed that they are handling the slopes. It's used to tie the yaks. So all the yaks have already fulfilled their duties and they are about to guide their yaks back to the base camp. This is another tent. This is our kitchen. This is one of the kitchens that are at the highest altitude of the world, and also our cooks. We have very handsome chefs. What do you eat for lunch? We had some rice and some vegetables. So every day you have enough to eat. You've spent almost a week at this high altitude. So do you miss some good food that you cannot have access to at this altitude? I miss beef and chicken.
看来在海拔很高的地方，肉不好做，是吧
So it's not so easy to cook meat at this high altitude. And now, because you live at a very high altitude, then it's very hard for your body to digest all those meat.
那你
And you don't have a very good appetite, even though the cooks, they are very professional and skilled.
哎呀，
What do you miss most?
对
I miss the cooking of my mother, and I miss my parents.
昨天还是母亲节呢
Yesterday is the day of Mother's Day, so it's a festival for all the moms. And I called my family, called my mom. I've never climbed such a high mountain in the past, and I've never been separated from my family. And your
是在这个帐篷里跟
mom
妈妈打电话。
will have some concerns
但是还
about
好，
you
我们
at
正
this
好
long
是突击
distance.
站，这个跟妈妈通话
But
呢。
luckily, you are doing some work related to the telecommunication sector, so you have all the
嗯，
conveniences to get in touch with your family and especially your mother. And I think it's the best gift that you can give to your mother, and it's also a job of honor. And what did your mother tell you?
不要
She
整
said that please take care of
我
yourself.
们这个
If
网友
you
说你们
felt
是最棒的哈，小哥哥
uncomfortable,
平安
please
归
come
来
back
时就是母亲
immediately.
节。说昨天不算，你们到家
So
跟妈妈
according
团
to
聚的
our
时候才是母
netizens,
亲节。
they have left a
说得真好
message.
哈。
The day when you go back to your mom is the real day
很感谢
for
你的这句
your
话，我看看，
mother.
哦，还是我们的老朋友哈，小喵喵喵呜喵呜，很感谢你的这句话，还有我们网友说妈妈会为你骄傲的，
And
叫乖巧
another
等待
message,
主人的喵
your
小
mother will be
大家
so
都在给
proud of
你们
you.
点赞哈。也有网友问了一些比较
There
轻
are
松
also
的问题，
other
你们冷不冷啊
questions.
用不用
For
回屋？
example,
我看又开始下雪了。
are you feeling cold? Because it starts to snow again. It's okay for me,
满足
because I
满
also
足大
would
家
like
的
to
好奇
make
心
you
哈。
feel
哎
this
现在这个镜头
beautiful
里这些蓝
scenery
色的孔
outside.
是什么？下
What
面
are those blue barrels? Because we need the oxygen
哦，
during the mountaineering. So inside oxygen bottles.
嗯
For every blue
哦
barrel,
还有网友
we
问
have
牦
several
牛在这
oxygen
个
bottles
6800
inside.
没有东西吃，
And
你们给
another
它带
question,
吃的吗？牦牛
will
有没
you
有东
bring
西吃？
some feed for the yaks since they don't have any food from the nature at this high altitude? We have the grass, for example, as the feed at the transition camp for the yak. And you don't have to offer liquid water for them. They will directly consume some snow, and that's how they can
我看
have
这
some
个有一
intake
个
of
帐篷外
water.
面铺了一块红
And I've
布，摆了
noticed
2把
that
椅子，这
there's
是晚上看
one
星星用的吗？
big piece of cloth here.
就这儿，
For
就这儿，
example,
对，就这
here
儿。
the red cloth and some chairs. This is where you can stare at the stars. In the morning when there's no snow, we can take a break here and also
这
have
两
a
天，因
little
为前
chat
天我
with the
也
friends.
主持了一个这个叫珠峰星
Some
空音乐
days
会的，
before,
我不
I
知道晚上
have
你在这个高度看天空是什么感觉？
hosted one program. It's about the Everest concert. So what is it like in the nighttime about the constellations?
星星就
I
在
think
山
that the
头，
stars are so
伸手可以
close.
摸到哈，伸手
It
可
feels
摘
like
星。
if I stretch my arm, I can hold the stars in my palm.
还有网友问了一些专业的问题。第一个专业的问题是，怎么上厕所？
怎么上厕所？我们这个中专这边，这个登山学校弄得真的很井井有条，他们弄了那个厕所。
移动厕所哈。
不是移动厕所，固定厕所。
固定厕所。
你看，下面那个小的那个帐篷就是厕所，
就是厕所。
那是男生的，这也是男生的。那两个是女生的。
这还分了男女。
哎，
这个厕所上还写男和女吗？还是大家就靠感觉了，靠记忆了？
就是跟大家上次那些老师就说了，这里是男厕所，那里是女厕所。
正好有很多网友在问，我们这个海拔还有女性的登山队员和我们的技术人员吗？因为有女厕所肯定是有，是吧？
有。
现在有吗？此刻在这个海拔上有女生吗？
因为他们有些人爬山去了，有些人可能在那边忙，然后我也不好打扰他们。
你也不好意思去打扰他们哈。
对，因为毕竟是女生。
对，那各位网友，我们就不为难两位了哈。我们去一趟也怪害羞的女生在这个地方爬山去了，是指就是随便爬一爬，还是有目的的？要干嘛？有一个爬山的目的，还是就是登山学校的学员？
有一个女的是登山学校的那个这边他们厨师这边帮忙的，还有些是游客。
游客
有些是游客，
很厉害。
我只能跟大家这样说，因为具体的我自己也不知道。
你没跟人家女生聊过是吧？
对，我比较那个腼腆。
哎呀，跟你聊得太开心了，我刚刚听到有鸟叫。
对，那边有2个乌鸦。
2个乌鸦你看乌鸦可以在海拔6800的地方生活。看各位网友。
Yes, actually they are the crows. The crows can even survive at this high altitude of 6,500 meters. They can even reach an altitude of 7,000 meters. Have you ever seen another type of bird here? I've once noticed a small bird here, but they are very few here. And now we have the gale, so you can rarely find the birds. So all the living creatures now you can find at this altitude, apart from humans and yaks, then it's the 2 types of birds that you can notice. And also there's a message for you. If you see a girl coming at this altitude, please do not hesitate to talk with her. So we are just very curious about it. And over there, that is the base station. Could we go closer to it and have a look at it? Now that must be cool. Let's get a closer look at it. And I'm also very proud of this base station. Over there, that is our national flag. So let's turn around and continue. Let's go over there and see our base station.
刚刚我这个巧妙地避开了我关于单不单身的问题哈，换了一个话题，网友们也注意到了，我就不。
You must have noticed that we suddenly have changed the topic. And we are moving closer to the 5G base station. We have bumpy road conditions due to this heavy snow. Here we must be hearing very big noises due to the 3 big generators of power. This is the oil tank for the generator. They are all carried by the yaks until here. That is the 5G base station at the highest altitude in the world. and now we are so close to it. I think it's the most,
一共有几个基站？这个合起来
it's the highest altitude 5G base station. How many base stations do you have?
哦，不同的方向。
They are sending signals towards different directions.
打登顶的
For example, one for the peak and one for the base camp, for example.
所以大家哈，以后如果看到了这个登顶的一些
So
画面，
imagine
离不开
in
这
the
些基站的
future,
功劳
if you can have any footage about people climbing towards the peak of the Everest,
对，很多网
it's
友在问怎么供
due
电。
to the support of
还有网友在
technology
问哈，
from
问
those
两个问题，第一
5G
个
base
是基
stations.
站
Two
会不
more
会被风
questions.
吹走？
Will those base stations be brought away by the gale? Actually, the answer is no, because we have used all those consolidation measures. In some places, we have dig down into the earth and we have add up some
除了石头上面还有
fixation
这个灯缆
measures
是吧？
like the big rocks. For each pole, it has 3 feet. And this one is covered by snow, so you cannot see the details. All the feet
真好。
have been
还有网友问，在这个
consolidated
特别
and
冷的
fixed.
地方
And
高
in
海
this
拔，这个
low
电是不是
temperature
耗得特别
and
快？
high
怎么保障我们
altitude
的设备？
area, how could you ensure the consumption of energy and also the supply of electricity?
好，我再说一遍。
I will repeat my
在高海
question.
拔
At
低
this
温的情
low
况下，这个耗
temperature
电
and
应该是
high
很快的。怎么保证
altitude
我们的设备
area, how could you guarantee the supply of electricity? Because we have wonderful generators of power here.
你的手机呢？手机多
What
长时间
about
电就没了
your mobile phone battery? How often do you have to charge your phone? When the temperature is really low, and you
那你
have
等于
to
给我们连线
charge
的
it
最高时长就是2个小时。
every 2 hours. So that means with only one charge, you can only stay with us for no more than 2 hours. In the daytime, it's much better already because during the night, the temperature will fall to an even lower level. And another question for you, what are the criteria for you to select the places and locations of the base stations? Here, it's close to the base camp, and you can also send the signal towards the peak of the Everest. So that's why we have
对话了这么长时间，
select
一点没有卡顿。
this
哪怕
place
在
to
这个
set our
电
5G base
视来
station.
连线，有时候还会有卡顿。可见我们 5G
So
还
as
是
I can tell that the signal is unlocked and unstopped for such a long moment of communication. And usually when we use the 4G to communicate inside the city, we have much bigger problems. And now with 5G, no problem. And over there, everywhere is snow. But a big pity is that we could not give you a very clear image of the Everest peak due to the bad conditions and the snowing
现在不是晚上，
weather.
我们脑袋里都有画面。赶紧回帐篷吧，
It
好不好？
doesn't
不用在
matter.
外面
I
站着
think
了
we can
而且看得
imagine
太冷
how it stands over there, and you have also described that beautiful
还是
starry
有的看
night.
是吧？哦，
I would like to show you one more thing.
中国移动
China Mobile
为你服务世界最高5G 基站，开发
service for you at the highest altitude 5G base station at a height an altitude of 6,500 meters.
6500米，
So such an exciting moment.
这是
We
这
have
是谁呀？
set
这
up
是
this
桑杰吗？
signal board.
桑杰怎么又跟过来了？
This is Sanjay. Sanjay has followed you.
哦，在工作。
He's working here. He has just filled up.
桑杰又见面了。
the fuel for the generator of power.
工作的样子都那么酷哈。完了，戴上墨镜
You're
更帅
wearing
了。
the
网友们
sunglasses.
是不是？赶紧的，表达一下。
等一下啊，我们那边过去一点，要不然听不到。
好好。
Let's move over there so that I can hear
我说
you.
这个桑杰戴上墨镜更
I
帅了。
repeat, Sanjay with the sunglasses, he looks even more handsome.
更帅了。哎呀，太帅了，太帅了。把桑杰弄不好意思了。说你又在看手机，网友们说你又在看手机。
You're always looking at your phone screen. What about Qu Zhu and Hua Jun?
3个人都很帅哈，不能只。
You're also very handsome.
对。哎，咱们工作完了回帐篷吧，好不好？太冷了，咱们不用刻意站在外面。
And now we can get back to the tent because it's so cold outside.
好。
跟随着我的镜头，咱们就回那个。
Okay, please follow me. Let's get back to the tent.
我给大家看一下这一路，全都是这种雪。而且这种雪是我们经常走的这些雪，我们这样。
The snow is like this.
粘不进去的。比如说这些没去的地方，你一粘，然后粘这么深，这还算好的。
You will not sink with this kind of snow.
哎，
我们这个老赵。
This is Mr. Zhao.
汉族同志里面身体比较棒的。可以，一般般吧。
一般般。一般。
He's a very robust person.
跟我们藏族人一样，他干活呀这些都可以。
And he's highly efficient in the work. In the morning, we have to carry the power generators.
没问题是吧？
That is the toughest job. And Mr. Zhao was in charge of this job.
在这个珠峰天气，我们知道变化很大。
We know that the weather conditions are always changing at the Everest. So have you had any difficult moments during the construction of the 5G base station? Yes, of course. We have to move all the equipment from an altitude of 5,200 meters to this height, 6,500 meters. We have to carry them by ourselves. The first day of construction of the 5G base station, there's a lot of wind and snow. And we have to set up all those steel equipment and poles by ourselves. So you cannot use the yaks to help you. For the optical fibers, we cannot use the yaks. Because it may easily break down the optical fibers. And Qu Zhu, I noticed that just now you didn't wear the sunglasses. Actually, I have one.
又来一位帅哥。
Another handsome guy now. Mine is a protection glass.
可以可以，相当可以。
So those glasses are very helpful.
抱歉一下哈，我刚刚这个手机没充上电，所以现在手机没电了，我得等一会儿才能看大家的留言。
And because
大家
I'm
接着留言哈。
charging my phone, so for this moment I cannot collect any messages left with our platform. I will show you the glaciers. Despite the bad weather conditions, I will show you around
许褚很有网红的潜质，特别会
with
卖
the
关子。
glaciers.
刚才说没得看了，现在又来个冰川。
I think Qu Zhu, you are so good at this introduction work because you are creating more and more surprises for us. Just now you said there's no more to see, and now you said there's one more glacier to.
can see over there the glaciers.
非常神圣啊。
They're very
这个你
sacred.
平常走过去过吗？
Have you ever been
有没有走的？
there with the
不
glacier?
用过去哈，不用过去，不用离。
And now you don't
这个
have to
还挺
go
危险
any
就
closer.
是说，大家会尝试着去这个冰川这边吗？
I'm just wondering, will people move nearer, closer to the glaciers?
肯定不
Not
行。
for me, but for
我
professionals,
们
they
导
can
播
do
最
that.
近给我送来了手机，我可以接着
So
看。
now I have another phone. I can continue to
哎，
share the questions on the
来看看
platforms
刚才
coming from our viewers
提
online.
醒我说下次手机要充满电。我们这次信号好了，结果手机没电了。这个冰川看着的确是很神圣，这个
So
雨
they
布
look
没有
very
的时候
beautiful, the
冰川一直
glaciers.
是延伸的很高的，是吧？我看那个隐约能看到一点。
这是我们煤气管，你看。
啊，没习惯。
Those are the liquefied natural gas.
哦，我发现，
这
嗯，
这段戏真的很美。
It's really
以后
beautiful
能开一档
panorama.
叫冰川漫展。
Maybe in the future we can have a program
咱
called
们
the
在
slow
这个
motion for the
5600
glaciers.
的慢直播的镜头在哪里？
And what where is our slow motion at the altitude of 5,800 meters? We have the footage in the past few days.
基站上面有我们的摄像头。
It's located with our 5G
还有
base
什么
station.
藏在镜头后面
And
没有给我
Chuchu
们看到的吗？
Is there anything or are there any surprises you can give us now
我全都
about the surroundings?
你付出了所有是吧？
Actually, no.
回帐篷吧。
We've
这
seen
个
all of it.
华军大哥，
And Huajun,
华军大哥，昨天是母亲
brother
节
Huajun,
您跟母亲
yesterday is the
通话了吗
Mother's Day. Have you talked with your
通
mother
了，
over the phone?
您母亲
Yes.
啊，
等一下那个
哦，很抱歉。
他怕人。
好，我们看看，哎呦，看到活物了哈，正在飞，正好有网友问牦牛能不能
The
飞煤
yaks
气罐，
are
大家看到了
coming.
吧？
And just now, our viewers are asking whether the yaks could carry the liquefied
这是主人。
natural gas bottles. Yes, they can.
牵着2到3个牦牛。
哦，
And behind them
这
is
也
the
是一
owner.
个力气活哈，每人牵着2到3头牦牛。
Every
牦牛
owner
的脖子上
can
都有铃铛
control
是
2
吧
to 3 yaks at the same time.
有铃铛。
And to each of the yak, there's a bell tied to their
我
neck.
们静静的看一会儿牦牛。
对。
各位央视新闻的网友，这里是央视新闻为你和中国移动哈为你共同带
So
来的
dear
东方
viewers,
6008牦牛慢
Together with the China Mobile, we are bringing you to the altitude of 6,500 meters
怕牦牛撞。
at the Everest.
取出这个牦牛跑起来是不是还是挺
And
快的
Chuchu, could those yaks run fast? Have you ever seen that?
上山非常
Yes, they can run at a very fast
正
speed.
在上货呢。
因为
We are loading
它是属于
with the
高原的
yaks.
这个牦牛只喜欢高原。
The yaks only like the high altitude
那些地方，它就很喜欢。
and places where the conditions are tough.
有网友问，这个叫不知道叫什么好，他问牦牛会不会顶人？
And people are asking whether the yaks will attack people.
人类接触的那个时间很长了，然后他们都知道。
No, they are very friendly with human
比如说这些，
because they know that we will not harm them, so they will not attack us.
可能它会撞呀、顶呀那些。
For the wild yaks, maybe yes.
牦牛真是也不容易哈，所以大家以后要到西藏去旅游，看到牦牛也要善待它们哈。
Okay, now we see that the yaks, they are good friends of
好
our
了，
humankind, so we have to treat them very
我们
friendly.
的直播您给我们介绍已经45
Now it's
分钟了
been 3
很累了
quarters
我觉得可以了。
that you
虽然大
have
家很想接着跟你
been
们聊
talking
天啊
about.
但是
the
还是好好休息，
Everest
别让你们太
base
辛苦，
station.
好不好？许猪
Thank you for your
滑冰大哥
introduction.
哎，那赶紧回屋，赶
My
紧回屋，
fingers are
不聊了，
all
我们
frozen.
道个别，然后帮我
So
们
now
跟
it's
桑
time
杰
to
也
bid
道个别，好不
you
好？
goodbye. And please say
好，
goodbye
嗯，
to Sanjay too.
我们的帐篷的门被他堵住了。
And you see that the yaks, they have blocked our
想回不
entry
去是吧？
to the tent. So we cannot get back
小
to
心，
the tent.
绕过牦牛的回帐篷的路。好，回来了。
Okay, finally inside our tent.
桑杰肯定又在玩手机。
Sanjay must be playing with the phone.
在听歌呢，在听歌呢。
Let's call Sanjay back.
好，三位，桑
桑
杰
杰
，Hello，
许
猪
猪
华军老哥，
华军
我们连线就到这里，非常感谢
Thank
你
you
们从
for
6500
staying
米给我们
with
带来
us.
那么
Thank
精彩的
you
画面
for
和故
being
事
there.
你们一定要保护好自己。
It's a wonderful
期待着你
story
们早
that
日
you
回
have
家
shared with us. Hope that you could come back to your family soon.
再见，再见。
Take care. Bye bye.
好的，各位网友。
Okay, dear viewers, just now we have talked with our workers from
建设人员
China Mobile working at the highest altitude of 5G base station at an altitude of 6,500 meters. And now we're about to move to another camp at an altitude of 5,800 meters. We call it the transition camp over there. Other workers for 5G construction from China Mobile are waiting for us already. So let's immediately have this connection with them. Very brief
他们
introduction.
俩分别叫拉
They
平
are La Ping and Guo Wei.
而且拉平今年刚满30岁。
La Ping is very
一
young.
会儿连通了以后，大家猜猜谁是拉
He
平？
just turned 30 this
我们切
year.
出他们的信号，两位好。
Now we
Hello
have them with us.
大
Hello.
家好，大家好。我看看网友们觉得哪位是拉平？
And I have a question for our viewers.
好，同时
Who
摆
is
一下，网
Laping？
友猜一猜哈，左还是右？
Who is Guo Wei?
两位先别着急揭晓哈，我看看。
Let me check the
哪一位
answers.
是拉平？给我投个
Which
票。
one is La
网友
Ping?
们都说哇，两位都很
Both
帅
of them
啊。
are handsome.
现
People
在
say
王心怡不知道叫什么好，黑白灰等等等等，都说左边的就是
all of them are saying that
脸
to
瘦
the
一点的
left
这位是
one
拉平，对吗？
it's La Ping. Are they correct?
对对对，是吧？啊，好好，网友还是猜对了。好，两位今天在这刚才我们连线了6500
So just now we have communicated with the workers at the advanced camp at 6,500 meters, and now we move to your camp at 5,600 meters. What's the weather now?
有点太阳。
Just now we
我
had
不知道
some
你们这边
snow,
可以
and
带我
now
们出
it's
去看一
about
眼吗？
to have the sun.
好。
Could you please show us around
然后
outside
外
the
面很冷
tent?
哈，如果感到手凉冻着的话，
I know that the temperature is very low outside, so if you felt any
稍微好一点。
uncomfortable, please come back to the tent immediately.
拉平戴上了眼镜
And Laping has put on the glasses.
啊，现在看到了吧？
看到了。
Now do you have the
我们
外面还飘着雪吗？
picture
这是珠
now?
峰吗？那个最高的。
Is that one the Everest?
往6500那边去的。
哦。
No, that is towards our camp at
从这个
6,500
你们的
meters.
5800能看到珠峰吗？
Could you see the peak of Everest from your camp? No,
才能过去。
哦，被挡住了。
it's blocked.
这个营地我看也有不少帐篷。现
You
在
also
除
have
了
a
你们
lot
俩
of
还有别
tents
人
here at the transition camp. So other people are here with
吗
you.
去叫他。
There's another
不一
colleague.
定非要
We
打
can
扰。
call him back.
如果方便的话，就打个招呼。
然后加上我们。
If it is okay, we'd like to say hello to them.
你们这个5800没有医生吗？
You don't have a doctor with you, only the cook.
我们5800，然后只是一个过渡营嘛。
Because we call it the transition
我
camp,
们两位同事，你看。
哎，两位好，两位好。
those are the other workers, our
大
colleagues.
家是在忙活着是吧？
So people are on duty.
没有，就是外面太冷，然后就在
No, actually, they prefer to stay inside due to the cold weather
一点
outside.
时间看看这个5800有没有可以给网友们展示一下的、介绍一下的。
Could you please show us around
5800我们只能到对面，然后接着
about the panorama here at this altitude, 5,800 meters?
然后要过山沟，到6500必须要翻山嘛。
From our transition camp, in order to move towards the advanced camp, we have to go a long distance and also travel through the difficult conditions of the road. This is the road towards our advanced camp at the altitude of 6,500 meters.
到2个山的夹角那一块，然后不知道6500。
You have to move towards the foot of that mountain and take that road between the two mountains. And here,
啊，这个
installations
这个基站是
for
在
the
高处
5G
啊
base
它
stations.
风会很大吗？
So will it be extremely windy at this high place? Sometimes we can have a gale, but now it's
这个
okay,
基
we
站
don't
是
have
保
the
证
wind.
哪里的信号？这个基站是
And
保证
this
哪里的信
5G
号？
base station sends the signal to which place? Actually, it's guaranteeing the transmission of the signal
底下是一个解析
from
的
the base camp at 5,200 meters and that advanced camp at 6,500 meters. Let's move closer to look at
800
this 5G base station at the altitude of 5,800
波移动，
meters. Again, the board of China Mobile.
感觉5800的信号也是嗖嗖的
And
啊。
we can feel that the transmission of signal speed is very good too
两
at
位
this
现在在这个
altitude.
高度还吸氧吗？你们
Do
现
you
在还需要
need
吸氧吗？
extra oxygen at this height?
可能这有发电机的声音哈。
We
你们
can
在这
hear
个
the
高度还
noises
吸氧
of
吗？
the power generator. Do you need extra oxygen? No.
人家适应了哈，非常适应。
So you are very used to
我
this
看5800
environment
的这个能
already.
见度明显比刚才
And the
的
visibility is much better here at 5,800
卡了但我
than
觉得这不是因为掉线
6,500
是
meters.
什么操作哈？离基站非常近。我感觉是我卡了，是不是？哦，是北京的锅，北京4G 的锅，不是珠峰5G 的锅。
And just now we have a little problem
好，拉平，我
with
们
the signal. I
可
think
以
it's
是不是
due to
挺冷
our
的？但
4G
这个
network in
海拔
Beijing.
明显感觉到雪要比6500要
And
少
now at an altitude of 5,800 meters, we can see
咱们回帐篷聊一会儿吧。
much less snow than that at 6,500 meters.
这个山路看起来还
So
是
if you want to go back to tent, please do not hesitate.
我们
And
现
the
在
road
大家
conditions
看
are
的
also
信号
very bad
这
here.
边是我们过渡营的慢直播的镜头。
Now you have two footage. On the left is the live picture at this altitude, 5,800, and to the right-hand side it's our slow motion
北京还没有
picture.
上5G，北京有啊，但是我这个不是呀。
We have 5G network already in Beijing, but not with mine currently.
好的，
Now we have
好，这是我们帐篷里的小基站。
been back to our tent.
好，辛苦了，辛苦了。
Okay,
跑一趟
thank you for your hard
还是
efforts.
要喘口气吧，还是有点儿
Maybe
有
you
点
need
喘，是
to
不是？
have a break. Still some breathing problems due to the high altitude.
各位网友，到了5800，还有没有什么想问的问题
Dear
刚才
viewers,
在
do you have
刚才在
any
6500
questions to
我们看到
ask
了牦牛，
at this
有网友问
altitude?
这个牦牛会经过5800的营
And
地吗？
people now have raised the question, will the yaks pass by the transition camp? Yes, it's a must.
就是
To arrive
所有
at the
爬到这
altitude
个
of 6,500 meters, they have to spend the night at our transition camp at the altitude of 5,800. because they have to take the break overnight
所以你们俩
before
在这儿
going
你们这
to
个团队在这儿也
a
不会觉
higher
得特别寂寞
altitude.
吧，因为总是
So
还是
you
会
will not feel lonely at this height because people are traveling. And every day you can see
对对对对的
people
很勉强啊
passing by.
拉平是90后啊
And
但我
Laping,
看这
you
个
are
给我的资料
born
说
in the 1990s.
13年开始就到了这个日喀则萨嘎县
And you joined the China Mobile's branch in the Tibetan Autonomous
这一次
Region
到了
since
5000 跟之
2013.
前有什么感觉上有什么区别吗？
And it's the first time for you to work at this altitude. In the past, you worked at an altitude of 5,000 meters. What's the difference?
所以当
I
时
think
是
the
怎么
weather
选择的谁
conditions
到
are
5800
very
到
similar. So how do you select the workers who will go to the 6,500, who will go to the
你也上到了
5,100 meters?
两位
We
在这
have
个
worked
可
at
以出差
different
哈，这次多长
altitudes.
时
We
间
can make some internal exchanges.
4月16号
And
啊
I've been here in the transition camp
身体
since
上
the
会有什么感
16th
觉
of
吗？会有
April.
什么不舒服的感觉？
Are you feeling okay?
现在感觉还好，就是之前来，刚到5800这边就是
Now I'm feeling okay.
呼吸困难，
But in the first days of arriving at this transition camp,
要睡着睡
I can feel little air.
睡着
I
睡
have
着坐
some
起来，
breathing
睡
problems
睡坐起来
during
是
the
什么
night.
是本能的坐起
And
来
in my dream, I suddenly woke up and I sit up.
我们来判断一下哈，是我的4G 卡
I'd like
是
to
上面有
know, is it the problem with the 4G or with the 5G over
这次我
there?
各位网友觉得呢？各位网友，刚才我们连线了在珠峰
Okay, dear viewers, we have already communicated with the workers at the altitude of 6,500 meters and also the 5,800 meters. And now let's wait for a bit to have the renewal of the signal. Now in front of us is the slow motion picture at an altitude of 5,800 meters. We have different angles to show you the panorama.
哎呦，这个画面里刚才看到
And just now you must have noticed
山鸟飞过，
the birds flying by. And during the night time, as is mentioned by our colleagues over there, when you reach the arm, it feels like that you could reach the stars. Let me have a guess. Maybe our colleagues at the transition camp have a problem with their mobile phone.
预告哈，再等一会儿，再次降一降海拔。
And coming forward, after the transition camp at the 5,800 meters, we're about to move to the third camp, that is the base camp. There will be 3 colleagues waiting for us. At the altitude of 5,200 meters, and there will also be colleagues from the Huawei company and the China Mobile. They will also have their stories shared with us. Now in front of us is the slow motion picture of the Everest at altitude of 5,800 meters. And today, due to the weather condition with the snow, we cannot see very clearly the peak of the Everest. We know that Everest is totally different from our living condition. There's oxygen poor condition, howling winds, heavy snows. Okay, we hear once again the voices of our colleagues at the altitude of 5,800 meters. Just now my phone turned off directly because there's no battery left. Okay, so just now due to the battery, your phone went down. Yeah, we also had a guess, and I had it correct. And here, due to the cold weather condition, it's very hard for us to get our mobile phones charged. What was the question then? Yeah, you mentioned you set up immediately in the dream. Why was that? Because I had some breathing problems by then, so I set up directly in my dream. So what do you eat at this altitude? Is it different from those colleagues living now at the 6,500 meters? Just now we followed your program. Every day we have the same quota of food. What did you have for lunch today? We're only 5, so our chef has made fried rice with eggs, and also we have a vegetable soup. And it's quite light cooking. And it's already very precious food like that at this high altitude. What do you do when you don't have to work? We will have a little bit of chat, and on a regular basis, we will go out and check the operation of our equipments. After spending so many days together at this high altitude, so you must feel very close to each other. So you feel like brothers now. Do you share the same tent during the night time? No. Just now we showed you the generator of the power, so over there beside it there's a tent. If we need to check out the operation of the power generator, we stayed in the tent beside it. And days ago we had this concert. We had very beautiful footage. It's thanks to you, thanks to your hard work at this high altitude. And have you followed our live stream program during your duty time? Yes. We watched a bit. It's a very beautiful concert at this high altitude in the starry night. So when you sleep inside the tent, you cannot see the stars in the sky. Last night, at 10 p.m., I went out of the tent, and I've seen many stars in the sky. It's a sky full of stars. So you mentioned that you will chat about your work, and are there any other topics? We will talk about our work and life. So this time, working in the Everest, this must be a very special moment in your working career. Do you have any stories that you can share with our viewers? that you will never forget for the rest of your life. That moment we have connect the 5G signal at the altitude of 6,500 meters, I was so excited. How did you know that it's connected? We will check the equipment. Usually we will not check our phones during the duty, but the moment when we called our family and it's connected, we found that it's workable now. It's connected. We made it. Unforgettable story about this work is that I can feel that we belong to the same team. After the arrival overnight, the other day we started working already. And then we have witnessed that payday with the connection, which was a big success. Yes, of course, our concert in the Starry Night was a very big proof and a very good example of your hard work. And I can tell that you're also very proud of your work. So let me check if we have any other questions on the platform. And maybe you can use one sentence to conclude this interview. I'd like to invite all of you to come to this place to feel the atmosphere here in the Everest. You're all welcome to pay a visit. And Guo Erwei, what do you want to say to our friends after this project? I feel that China Mobile is everywhere and our services have a full coverage. Thank you very much, and thank you for your hard work that has enabled us to enjoy the beautiful scenery at the Everest without going outside. So, dear viewers, just now we have communicated with our workers at the altitude of 6,500 meters and 5,800 meters. They have also shared with us their stories at the work. Now let's move down a bit to the base camp of the Everest, 5,200 meters. We have Zhang Zongyao and Dong Xingwei, our friends from CCTV. They will give you the following up reports. Dear viewers, good afternoon. My name is Zhang Zongyao. I'm from CCTV. I'm now at an altitude of 5,300 meters at the 5G base station of China Mobile. There's another way to check my location. First of all, you can open this 5H footage, and there is the VR lens, the VR panorama footage. If you turn around with this VR lens, then you can see me inside. Over there, this black one is our VR lens. Because we have such big wings today, the protection screen has been broken. Later, we will replace it with a new one. Just now, you have followed the interviews with the colleagues at 6,500 meters with the very beautiful glaciers and also the 5,800 meters. But also, we have other base stations. For example, at one altitude of 5,000 meters, 5,100 meters, and at the base camp 5,200 meters, we have the installation of different VR lens. So they will give you different angles to admire the nice pictures and scenery of the Everest. In order to check the 5G base station here, please follow me. There's one up high. Over there, the 5G stations are the similar ones as the 6,500 meters and 5,800 meters. They have the similar size, and they are facing the peak of Everest. Here we have many base stations here. If we can turn around the lens, you can see our base camp, those yellow tents. But it's not easy journey to travel from that base camp to this place, even though it's only a difference of 100 meters of altitude, but it's taken a long time. To accomplish the travel, we have representatives from Huawei and China Mobile. First, I will give the floor to our representative from China Mobile. Could you please talk about this base station? So it's directing towards the Everest peak. Yes. We have one for 4G, one for 5G. This is one for 5G. Let me find an easier way to give you the explanation. So we have this picture to give you a better understanding of the installations of the 5G base stations in Everest. So I'll give you a very brief introduction. All the locations of the base stations. We are here at an altitude of 5,300 meters with two coverages. One is the base camp. Another is towards the peak of Everest. Now let's continue with our explanation of the distribution of 5G base stations here in the Everest. So let's start again. We have one at 5,300 meters, one with 5,800 meters, and another with 6,500 meters. Those three 5G base stations we have visited already. And there's one direction, it's towards the peak of the Everest. That means now we have the possibility to cover the peak of Everest with both the signals of the 5G and the 4G. 4G. The major function of the 5G base station at 5,800 meters is to ensure the coverage of the signal along this road. And the 5G base station at the altitude of 6,500 meters is to ensure the coverage of signal at the peak of the Everest. And it's no easy job to construct such 5G base stations at a high altitude like 5,800 meters and 6,500 meters. Before coming here, we have imagined like some steel towers here, very tall towers, but it's not like that. It's much smaller. What's the difference between these 5G base stations of today and those in the past? And I'd like to talk about the difference between the 4G base station and 5G base stations. So in our cities, like in the streets, you can find some base stations in the white color. We have the antenna. We also have the other supportive equipment. The antenna will help to send the signals out. And today we can enable this faster speed with the 5G because imagine like a highway. Today we have more lanes at the same time. So more data could be transferred at the same time through all those multiple lanes. And we also have a greater downstream and upstream rates of transmission of signals. And this time we know during the construction of the 5G base station, we have also started the 2020 elevation measurement of Everest. So the opening of this highest altitude 5G base stations in the Everest have really given a technical support to the elevation measurement program. Just now, according to our colleagues, we have used the yaks to carry the equipment, but we have to use people, manpower to carry all those optical fibers. So we still need the optical fibers. We have a very careful selection of the specific optical fiber in order to protect the natural environment here. From the base camp until that advanced camp at 6,500 meters, in total we have to install 25 kilometers of optical fibers, and all those quantity of optical fibers have to be carried by ourselves, and we can never use the yak because the optical fibers are very fragile. When we use the yak to carry them, it's very easy to break them. So we have to carry them by ourselves. And now we can tell how difficult it is to succeed in the construction of those 5G base stations at this high altitude. And what is the significance of those 5G base stations? It's a very meaningful mission. We have, first of all, the 5G space stations at 6,500 meters and then at 5,800 meters. It can make sure that all the data here at this high altitude could be transferred back to inland. And it can also help to protect the security of our mountaineering team members. The more signal you have, the more protection you can get. Because when there is an emergency case, you can immediately call for help with your phone. And we can imagine that the cost of construction of the 5G base stations must be very high, not to mention the construction at such a high altitude in the extremely difficult conditions. Here, the 5G base station at 5,300 meters can cover a radius of 1 kilometer around the base camp of the Everest.
好的，我这边这个情况就是报道情况，基站确实建设包括后续的。
Okay, that is so much about this part. We know that whatever you do, when you are at such a high altitude, it will never be an easy job.
行，我这边的情况就是这样，可以再请大家欣赏一下旁边的这个。
So, once again, we'd like to show you the surrounding areas with the snowy mountains.